Do you want to learn how to make this at home in your own kitchen? Follow along. Hello, Chef Chris Holland with Chef Out of Water, as well as I'm the head chef and the owner of the Baked Alaska here in Astoria, Oregon. All right, here we go. Next episode of Cooking at Home during a global pandemic. Let's talk about ramen. All right, we had a request online through our video comment platform on Facebook for repurposing ramen. How can you spruce it up? Give it a little extra, flavor, a little extra protein, and etc. Well, combining that with also a desire that folks have mentioned to learn a little bit of knife skills, let's combine this into one episode. We're going to be studying more knife skills as we go, but for the moment, let's just kind of learn them along the way for various different projects. All right? So, ramen. Here's what we got to work with. Now, we got a carrot right here, all right? We have some asparagus, a yellow squash, an onion, some celery. We have a jalapeno. I'm gonna give my ramen a little bit of a bite. I have a handful of mushrooms. I also have some pre-cooked chicken thigh that I happen to have kind of just round, so we're going to use that up as well. And then went scavenging the garden this morning, grabbed a couple of things, but we're going to use this is a spring onion. All right, so we're going to use that for a little bit of garnish, as well as cilantro, a little bit of garlic, and some hard-boiled eggs. All right, so let's walk through this. First of all, with this particular episode, I'm going to use this organic udon. All right, I had some of this around. This stuff is awesome, by the way. It cooks about the same amount of time as a packaged ramen that you might find in the store, like that. All right, so you're welcome to use this. You can use some of the spice mixture, but I also have chicken stock. So we've had this in the freezer, and I figured we'd thaw some out for this. So I have some chicken stock. We're going to use that now. Over here, let's go ahead. We're going to flick on the flame. We're going to get some water boiling behind us for the noodles. All right. In the meantime, we're going to prep a few items. All right, in order. Now, as we like to call in this industry, mise en place, meaning a place for everything and everything in its place. What we're going to do is do all the knife work first. We're going to get all the things prepped and get them ready to go. When we start cooking, we're going to put them into our pot in a sort of order, if you will. What takes the longest, what's the most tender, and what's the harder vegetable, like a carrot. All right, so we're going to do all our prep first, and then we'll begin to put it all together. But at least it's all in front of us. This will be a fun family activity. Divide it up and make some ramen at home together. Now, traditionally, ramen, there are hundreds and hundreds of different versions. Our particular noodle that we're going to make is a chicken broth and a udon noodle. This is made from wheat, all right? But there is a lot of different versions out there, so feel free to make this your own. If you happen to have a bouillon cubes, or you have one of those quart containers of a pre-done chicken broth that you might find in the grocery store, that's great too. I want to leave you flexibility. What do you have around the house? What do you have access to at the grocery store? All right, so we're going to kick this off with a carrot. We do a quick little, just peel the outside. Now, I don't think I'm going to use the whole thing, at least not for this particular scenario, but we'll use about half of it. All right, so give that a peel, get all the peels off. All right, there we go. Now, we're going to set these aside, and perhaps we'll come back and we'll make a vegetable stock at a later point. All right, so we're going to use that. Now, let's talk about knife skills as we go here. This is my knife, okay? The knife is an extension of my hand, all right? Now, we don't want to let the knife control our hand. We want our hand to control the knife. Grip the knife just like that, all right? And then wrap your fingers around and you have a full control of the knife, all right? Now, as we're going, you have control. If this is what you don't want to do, so when you catch yourself doing this, try to avoid that. Don't do the whole putting the finger on the top thing. That's when your knife starts to slip around, you don't have as much control, and you potentially you might injure yourself, all right? So let's do that. Now, we've got a firm grip here. We've gripped around the blade. We're gonna cut through the big part of the carrot, all right? Cutting off both ends. Again, we'll reserve this for a later time. Now, we're gonna go ahead here and go right down the middle of the carrot. Okay, we're also gonna go one more time. All right, I'm gonna save this half a carrot for later, all right? On here, we're gonna do what some might call an oblique cut, all right? I wanna give my ramen different shapes, and different textures, and different flavors. So that being said, we're gonna cut this one kind of oblique or a bit on a bias. Okay, what we're ending up with is somewhat of a diamond shape-ish, if you will, carrot, all right, into a bowl. All right, next, let's talk about celery, all right? I just peeled off a couple of celery. Now, again, I want to have a different texture. I'm going to grab my knife, again, like that, give it a firm grip, and I'm going to go ahead and do a bit of a Asian style cut, just like that. It's going to give us a little different shape, all right? Ultimately a different texture to become part of our ramen, all right? Let's talk about onions. There's a lot of different ways to cut an onion. Now, what I want to do is a small dice, all right? So, you see the little hairy part here, okay? This little guy, that end, this is the end that grows down, by the way, all right? So, that's the bottom of the onion. We're going to just take a little bit off the end like that. On the other side, we're going to take a little more off the end like that. All right, now let's go ahead, cut that bugger right in half. This is what we have left. All right, we're going to reserve this onion for a later time. Now, peel the onion. Now that you've cut it in half, this thing is a lot easier to peel. All right, peels are off. All right, here we go. Now, what you want to do is bring the onion and the cutting board close to the edge of your countertop. Now, you're going to grab your knife like this, and then you're going to put it at a perpendicular angle to the countertop, like that. You'll then put your fingers on the very top with a little bit of a curve like that, and you're going to drag the knife through at approximately 1/4 inch apart. Just like that. Turn the onion and you're going to go this way, about the same distance apart. All right, now when you cut the onion, you have nice uniform pieces of onion, and what's left is the end that you may have cut off in the first place. In this case, it helped you kind of hold it all together. All right, we'll save that for later. Okay, into the bowl. Okay, next we have a beautiful yellow squash. All right, we're going to just use part of that, maybe about 1/3, but we're going to take it and cut the ends off, cut it right down the middle, kind of just drag your nice sharp knife through there. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. We're going to use that one later. Now you have 2 little pieces like this. All right, we're going to cut, boom, boom, just like that, and we have about what would be considered a medium dice squash. Okay, into the bowl, separate bowl. Here we go. Now, asparagus. Now, a lot of people talk about the best way to break an asparagus is by grabbing it here and then bending it, bend, until it snaps. Where it snaps, this is the part you want to use. This is the part you would discard. And now we're going to throw this in our vegetable stock as well. All right? So all that being said, now we know approximately where to cut that. We're going to go ahead and cut the rest of the asparagus off. And we're going to also cut this at a bit of an angle. We got different shapes, sizes, colors, and flavors, all in the same bowl of ramen. That's going to make it beautiful. All right? Now, we got some mushroom. They're a brown mushroom, or also known as a cremini. It's technically a small portobello. I like to be able to get a bit of texture in this with the broth. So I'm going to literally just cut them right in half. Okay, there we go. Cutting them in half. Okay, now we have our items all prepped up. We're going to come back to this one. That's going to be more of a garnish. It's going to go raw right on the top of our ramen. Okay, now I want to have a little bite. So we're going to use a jalapeno. You could use another hot pepper. Fresnos are awesome and they're beautiful. You could use some dried chilies, things like that if you want to get a little bite to it. This is what I happen to have. Honestly, I don't have. What I would really like to have is some ginger, but for some reason I just don't have any right now, so unfortunately we're going to skip that. All right, take this, we're going to go right down the middle. Okay, you're going to take the inside of the pepper out, at least some of it. Now, a jalapeno, the hottest part is the middle, and I don't know if you know this, but depending on the time of season, different jalapenos can be different hotness, right? Depends on when they were grown and harvested. These we're going to simply cut into a really small dice, okay? And there we go, just like that. Okay, now notice I did these last, and the reason being is now we're going to start with these. So I started with stuff I'm going to use along the way, but I cut the thing that I'm going to use first last. So it's just ready to go. I don't need a bowl, and we're golden. All right, at this time, our water's boiling behind us. All right, I'm going to drop in my udon noodle into the boiling water. Now, this is going to take about the same amount of time as a packaged ramen, about 4 minutes in boiling water. All right. There it goes into the water. We'll get that, let's get it fully submerged. And we are good to go. Now, in another pan, we're going to use this other saucepan here. We're going to go ahead and flick the heat on. About medium, high. All right. Now, keep an eye on your noodles cooking. All right. They are going to have the potential of over boiling or boiling over, right? You want to try to keep all that water off your stove top. So turn it down a little bit, and we're going to do this for 4 minutes, and then strain it out, and we're good to go. All right. Now I got the heat going on this pan here. I'm going to use a little bit of Asian flavor. So we're going to use sesame oil in this particular case. If you don't have any, it's not the end of the world. You can use olive oil, that's totally fine. But if you have sesame oil, this will give it a nice little additional flavor. All right? A little bit in the bottom of the pan as we go. Okay? We have our jalapeno is going to go in first. Okay. We want the jalapeno to kind of chill out, if you will, a little bit, but that's what we're going to begin with, all right? So into the pan, we have jalapeno. Okay, we're going to let that kind of, let all the flavors come out, let it kind of chill for a second, all right? So jalapeno into the pan. It goes. All right. Now, as I mentioned in a previous episode, we talked about you don't want to burn anything, all right? You want to avoid burning anything. Once you burn something in the bottom of the pan, your ultimate outcome will likely be, well, burnt, all right? So try to avoid that, all right? Here we go. Okay, jalapeno's working. We're gonna go in with this garlic. The garlic I just sliced a little bit, and I like to have that texture of whole garlic when I bite into it. All right, I'm gonna give that a little, get that moving around. All right, now think about what is the hardest vegetable here. All right, I would say next would be carrots into the pan. Okay, we have, let's go, onions. All right, we're going to give those a stir just for, I don't know, about 10 seconds or so. We're going to get them going. All right, pop back over, give your noodle a little bit of a stir. Oh man, that is going to be awesome. Okay, so these got about, the noodles probably have about another minute or so until they're ready to go. In the meantime, let's chuck in our celery. We're going to chuck in our squash and asparagus. We're going to give that all a little saute. All right, so right at this point, we have the bulk of our vegetables in the pot. They're cooking away. We're going to get a little bit of flavor on them. All right. There they go. All right, our pasta is boiling. We're getting down to 30 seconds, 45 seconds left on that, then we can strain it out. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give this an initial seasoning. As we cook these vegetables, we want them to have a bit of a independent flavor as well as a whole flavor for the finished product, right? Okay, we'll give it a little more. I like to use our salt, Chef Daddy from chefdaddybrands.com. This is a blended sea salt with a little bit of savory herbs in it. It's really meant to round out the flavors. Okay. All right, that looks nice. We have our vegetables ready to go. Now, into there, I have 2 cups, okay, or 16 ounces, or a pint of chicken stock. All right, so we'll let the chicken stock kind of cook away while we do the rest here, all right? We're just gonna really bring it up to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and just cook it for a couple of minutes to bring all the flavors together. All right, in the meantime, my chicken, I'm gonna throw that in the oven. We wanna heat it back up. This chicken was fully cooked and then chilled, but it's really important that you heat your food back up to a minimum of 165 degrees before eating it, okay? Now, also, okay, here we go. We have some cilantro leaves. I've already prepped these. These are gonna go on top, they're gonna go on raw, all right? In the meantime, let's pull off our ramen. Okay, we'll give that a quick little strain over the sink and then put it right into the bowl. All right. Okay, the ramen is fully cooked. Look at that, it's wonderful, steaming off. We're gonna put it right into the bottom of our bowl. Okay, that's step 1, all right, of plating. Next, I have some boiled egg. Let's go ahead and get that ready. We're just gonna cut one of these in half. All right, this is nice. All right, egg cookery. We're gonna get back to this before you know it. There's so many different ways to cook an egg. I can't really get into it right at the moment, but we'll give you some instruction on egg cookery and all the things that you can do with eggs. All right, okay. We have cilantro. We're going to go ahead and cut some of our spring onion. This looks a lot like a scallion, and if you happen to have scallions or chives or something like that, that'll also be really, really fantastic. Okay, into the broth goes the mushrooms. Last, as it's coming to a boil, we're going to go ahead and put a few things aside here. All right, and we'll get ready to plate our ramen. This happened really fast, right? So you can have, it takes a little bit of time to prep, source up your ingredients, but from start to finish, it doesn't take more than about 10 to 15 minutes to put a hot bowl of noodles on the table with a wonderful stock or bone broth, vegetables, and even some proteins like boiled egg or chicken thigh. All right? Now, that is going away. Okay, at this point, let's go ahead and test our broth for flavor. Do we need to add anything else? I'm gonna add one more little pinch of salt, and I'm really happy with that. What's wonderful about cooking this hot and fast like this is our vegetables will have crunch to them. All right, they'll still have texture. We won't have mushy squash, and we won't have burnt garlic or anything like that. We did it hot and fast. By doing all of our prep in advance, we're able to assemble this quite quickly. All right. Okay, now, it's just me, and maybe it's you too, but I'm a huge fan of eating with chopsticks. All right, we'll give those a quick little, okay? We're gonna give our noodles, I'm gonna kind of fluff them up here a little bit. Okay, this is done. Make sure you grab a towel, this pot might be hot. Okay, and over the top it goes. Okay, we got our broth, we have all these vegetables. Oh man, I'm pretty excited right now. All right, it might have leftovers even, that's for later. All right, we got this. Now, you might as well, right? We have time. Why not make and present this like you might find in a restaurant, all right? We'll maybe put the egg on top like that, okay? We have our scallion, maybe that goes over here a little bit. Cilantro goes here, okay? And then we're gonna reach down, we're gonna grab our chicken. Chicken is nice and hot. Woo! I think I forgot to grab tongs. Let's put that right here. Set that aside. Now, that is what I am talking about. We've now just made the most beautiful bowl of ramen in under 20 minutes from start to finish. So I hope you enjoy. Spend some time with your family, cooking at home during the global pandemic.